We got to talk about this Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Welcome to Unleashed. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are the guys.
Hey everyone, this is Unleashed. Welcome to it. If you're new here, hit subscribe. If you like the video, hit like, share it, do all the stuff you want to do. Comment down below. I want to hear all of your comments down below. I reply to every single one of them. Is it exhausting? If there's enough. So let's get me exhausted, all right? And I want to talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie because it's the next movie from Star Wars, from Lucasfilm. They're going to put something on our movie theater silver screens for the first time in what feels like an eternity. Even though we've gone a lot longer without Star Wars movies. Let's be real, right? Between Jedi and Phantom Menace, and then between Sith and Force Awakens, this is nothing. This is a walk in the park for us old Star Wars fans. But it is the first time in a while we've gotten one. And they told us we were going to get a new movie every year forever until the end of time, and then a movie didn't do well, and they were like, "Oh, change of plans, course correct." Then they have the Mando and Mandalorian and Grogu, and I really think that this is. I said this before, but I believe this is their olive branch to fans. This is their like, "Hey, you could trust us to make Star Wars again. Look at this one. Look at this one." I also think it's a safety net, right? Because they know that people, season 3 aside, I know you're going to complain about season 3, but season 3 aside, I think people still love Grogu and Mandalorian. I know a lot of people say I don't think they are what they were. I don't disagree. They don't have the weight that they had, 5 years ago when it debuted. That being said, people still love Mandalorian and Grogu. They know who they are, and I think Star Wars to the casual audience out there who's not obsessed with it, who's not going to run to Disney Plus to watch a Star Wars show necessarily, but someone that'll be like, I will go see an event film in the theater. This sounds like a good time. I think that for them, Star Wars still has enough name recognition that they might trust to go see that movie to get some popcorn. You get beer in the theater still. You get a beer in the theater, a pop, a soda, popcorn, and sit and watch a movie. I think it still has brand recognition to get people to do that.
That's good. Yeah, little touches, little details. You want to make the character cool.
All that being said, I think it's going to be a great movie, and I actually have a lot of faith in this movie. The last time I did I have a faith in this movie video was on a little movie called Solo, which I said I have a lot of faith in, and maybe so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt if you want, because who knows what that means. But I do have faith in this movie for a few reasons, a number of reasons. I'm going to get into them. I'm going to talk about a couple characters I would like to see in the movie that I don't know if they're necessarily going to make their way there, but I want to see who I want to see. First of all, we can't do this without mentioning Jon Favreau. He loves Star Wars. His name was in the ring to direct The Force Awakens, and you have to wonder if he would have got that, or any of the other directors, except for J.J. Abrams, how different Star Wars would be today, like where we are right now. Would it be? It might not be in a better place. Let's not go there, but I wonder what would have happened, what would have changed if he had taken the reins, or someone like Brad Bird or someone like that would have gotten the Force, or I guess it would have been episode 7 at the time, or if they would have stuck with Michael Arndt's script or had more involvement with George Lucas, not too sure. I think you're going to see pictures, like eventually you're going to hear that George Lucas was on the set at some point of Mando and Grogu, or he gave his blessing to this film. Lucasfilm really seems to be using George Lucas for PR. They've been really going hard with that. They did that with Solo. Remember, because Solo had the backstage drama, right? Like the director drama and all that stuff, and it went over budget. And then they're like, oh, George Lucas came and he directed the scene. And then he obviously loved Grogu Baby. They had the picture of that, the very blurry random picture of him with that. So I think they're using him for PR, and I think he's okay with it. I mean, Star Wars is still, at the end of the day, his baby. He might not like what it's become, or, he might not like it right now in its teenage years, but it is what it is, and this is his invention, his creation, and he, I think he welcomes being involved in it, and I think it's a good on their part to do that. Whether it's in earnest or not, I don't know. I still think it's a PR stunt, but it is what it is. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point you hear about him being on set for something, or not yet, but closer to the release date in 2026. Or he helped out with a scene, or he gave his advice on this, or he said something about Grogu, or you just see another picture of him with Kathleen Kennedy and Grogu on the set. I do think this is the movie. If this is if the rumors are true, where Kathleen Kennedy wants to leave on a high note, I think this is the movie. If this movie hits, she will retire from Lucasfilm, maybe from film, but from Lucasfilm for sure. If those rumors are true, who knows anymore? I don't know. And do I even care? Not really. So Jon Favreau is the reason why I really believe in this movie, because he also created The Mandalorian, and he did that in a time when Star Wars was really in disarray, like the first time. And now we've obviously stumbled, and he's been a part of that stumbling block since. But I believe what he learned with Marvel and what he learned as a filmmaker, like the movies he's made aside from, the high end stuff, like if you take away Elf and look, I'm talking about Maid. I love Maid. I'm a big Maid fan, but Chef is great as well. He's done he's done some great movies.
Thanks, yeah, a little bit. I got a 6-pack. Started out with a 40.
All right. Here, babe. You look good, man.
All right, thanks, man. Catch you later.
Cool.
Did you see that shit? Did you just let Screech in the club?
And he also did the Jungle Book, where they use a lot of that technology to bring into the Mandalorian. So he's very mentally like George Lucas in a lot of ways. I don't know if he's as creative, telling whole fleshed out stories and lore and world building as he is, but that remains to be seen. He might get there. I don't know. But right now he's at the helm, and he's only directed one episode of The Mandalorian so far in 3 seasons. And we could do 4 with Book of Boba Fett. We could do 5 with Ahsoka. We could do 6 with Skeleton Crew if you want, but he's only directed one episode of all of this. And that was the Crate Dragon episode 1 of season 2 of The Mandalorian, which a lot of people have been saying that's the best episode of The Mandalorian. I guess Luke coming in at the end is probably the best, but I think a lot of people like that. Me personally, I like episode 2 with the egg. I believe it's called the egg episode. The Jawas want the egg. That's my favorite. But he directed that episode, and it's everyone's favorite episode, a lot of people's favorite episode, and it's 1 hour long. It's about 60 minutes long, and it introduces us to way more of the world, especially on Tatooine. But Cobb Vanth comes in there, and I'm a big Cobb Vanth fan, and this is one character I want to bring up that I would like to see in the movie, but I'm going to stick with Jon Favreau just for now. And he had John Leguizamo in there, but you didn't really notice it was him. So he had people come in, do cameos you don't notice, but the story was so strong and so unique, and it was so Mandalorian, and it was an hour. And he had an hour to do what he did there. And you think of what he could do with 2 hours. And a full scope movie in 2 hours. And I believe that this is going to be a new hope for Star Wars. And I don't mean that as a pun. I mean like the movie A New Hope. This is going to be very similar to that. And that this is, even though we know that we've lived with these characters for 3 years and 3.5 years if you include Boba Fett, we've lived with these characters. We know who they are. We know what they're all about. So we don't need to, but we're going to be reintroduced to them because it is a movie and you want new fans in there. So we'll get a little bit of a reintroduction, but we already know a lot of their backstories. So we're good. So we're going to go on this adventure with Mandalorian and Grogu, whatever it may be. I think they're going to be searching for some kind of bounty or something. Obviously he's back being a bounty hunter. So they're going to go after that and do whatever they're doing. And it's going to be a really cool, fun story. They're going to have to go and find the princess on Alderaan, and oh no, we're in the asteroid field. Oh, that's no space station. That's no moon. That's a space station. You know the line. So I think we're going to get it's not going to be that movie. We already got that again, but it's going to be that kind of feel where you go on an adventure and it's all fun and games. And it's going to have a beginning, a middle, and this thing that they call an end. And it's going to have a very nice ending, but it's going to be a little bit open. This is all me speculating. And it's going to have it be open-ended, but it's going to feel satisfying. We're going to say that was a good ending, because then they don't have to be like, oh no, we need to make another movie. And then that movie doesn't do well. Now they can say, if we don't do another movie, that's not a big enough answer to be answered. That's not a big enough question to be answered. And if they get another movie, that's a massive question. Let's answer it, because in A New Hope, you never really see Vader die, right? He just kind of spins away. Spoilers, he spins away. And the next one, he's a big bad threat. And he means so much more because he's Luke's father, and they up the ante, and they build the characters, they build the world, they build the lore in the next movie. The first movie, they establish it all. And you're like, oh, look, there's aliens there. But once you leave Tatooine, it's kind of like, it's isolated. It's down as stormtroopers and our heroes. There's not much else. So, droids, obviously, and some aliens. But that's it, really, right? So I think that's how this movie is going to play out. I think it's going to be a fun adventure. They're going to, whatever their bounty is going to be, we're going to get on that bounty. We might start off with Zed. That might be the beginning. We'll go, oh, look, it's a good time. And then we go. But also, look, they keep, like I say, Barry and Aaron, these guys, Patreon, they've sent me these clips, and some other people have as well. I don't have everyone's name. Maybe I should have got them all. Have sent me a clip of Mando and Grogu riding an AT-ST Walker. And it's it's from the D23 leaked footage, which I saw most of, I believe. But it looks awesome. It just looks awesome. Like if you're looking at this and you're like, I hate Star Wars, I hate new Star Wars, then you're gonna hate this because this looks phenomenal. This just looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a blast. It's like, hey, again, I brought this up a few times. You've got to, if you're Disney, you have to release toys for this product. If you don't release toys and tie-in novels and stuff for the Mandalorian and Grogu, you are leaving money on the table. No questions asked.
I want to get hurt.
How could you not leave? How could you the characters are like, these characters are established. Give us more, feed us more. When kids go to school and they have their scholastic book fair and they pick their books, and they still do this. I don't know. I'm old. But you pick your book in the little like magazine thing that you have. There's got to be some Mando and Grogu books in there for them. There has to be. I know you didn't do the Mando thing first to save the surprise of Mando. That's great. You didn't spoil Mando with a toy. That's all. Or Grogu with a toy. That's awesome. But those are established. Now get us in this world. Back us up. Tell us more of the story. Lead us into that. Give us our backstories. I think a lot like they try to be very secretive with everything they're doing, and I don't think that works. I mean, it works to a degree, and like certain things, obviously you keep secret. But I think, and I said this before, I think the Acolyte, I don't know if it would have saved the show, but if we would have known who any of these characters were, if they would have been like, you want to know who this character is, and this is why, and you throw like these little books in our faces and maybe a comic before the show comes out, just to whet our appetite a little. That could go a very long way. And I don't know why they've stopped doing that. I don't know when I think the Last Jedi might have been the last time they did it. I don't know if they did it for Rise of Skywalker. I don't recall them doing it for anything else. I mean, Catalyst, they didn't do much for Rogue One, but Catalyst was great. We don't even get that anymore. I've said this to death, but it's just, you got to keep doing this stuff. And I think Mando and Grogu, this is right. Like, this is built for this. Like, this is made for this. This is what you do. You have, I mean, we already know who these characters are. You can tell any stories now. Just tell us little side stories. Go do it. Make it. I would love to bring back Force Friday when this movie comes out. Bring back Force Friday. Be like, these are the Black Series. These are your Lego things. This is that. This is that. And also, here are the books and comics that we're having to coincide with the release of it. And then, honestly, I've been doing this. We've been doing this on this channel in Digital Charcuterie. We're doing the Road to Skeleton Crew. They used to do the Road to the Force Awakens, the Road to the Last Jedi. I think they did the Road to the Rise, and then it just stopped. There's no hype for anything. Skeleton Crew, I don't even think that anybody knows when it's coming out, December 3rd. I don't think anybody really knows, though. Unless you are like me and you're looking forward to it. Why would you know? Why would you care? It's not there. They had one little trailer. I don't even know I don't know if that thing is played anywhere other than on YouTube. And I'm looking for it on YouTube, but normal people aren't. I'm not normal. I'm saying that. That's a fact. So look, Favreau is a big reason why I think it's going to be a hit. I think the footage that they've shown looks phenomenal. The stuff that's going on the interwebs now, that ATST Walker thing that was part of that clip, it just looks like so much fun. You bring the fun back in Star Wars. I can't see it being a miss. And I also think in season 3, the Jack Black episode, the Captain Bombardier episode, a lot of people really gravitated to that episode and they said that was the only good episode because it was like an isolated mission. And I think that's what this movie is going to be. I don't think Captain Bombardier is going to be in it, but I think it's going to be an isolated mission where you get to just sit down in your seat and watch Mando and Grogu go on this epic adventure, this epic quest to discover what they're going to discover. And at the end, whatever happens. It could end with a massive cliffhanger, as long as it's not a massive cliffhanger that leads into Ahsoka season 2. That would be lame sauce. But I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be beyond that. I want to go into a couple characters that I really would like to see in it. The first one I think should be in it, and that's Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth, obviously a character from Mandalorian season 2, who was in that Crate Dragon episode directed by Jon Favreau. Wasn't in season 3, didn't have a place in it anyway, but that's also because in Book of Boba Fett, he got very badly injured and he ends up, pretty much dead. He's pretty much dead. And then back to tanks now, they rejuvenate everybody. They bring everybody back to life. So he's laying in there, that post-credit tease of Book of Boba Fett. You have Cobb Vanth laying in the back to tank. He's coming back bigger, stronger than ever before. But for what purpose and why and where? And obviously, this movie, Mandalorian and Grogu, was meant to be season 4 of The Mandalorian. It's now a movie. I could see Cobb Vanth making his way into there. But I love that it's a character that was created for the Aftermath novels. They're novels that I don't praise too often. There's not a whole lot about them that I love. I thought they got a lot better as they went along, and I actually don't blame Chuck Wendig necessarily for what happened. I feel like his hands were tied because you can't tell me the backstory to get to a place that nobody knows where it's going anyway, right? Like they didn't know what the sequel trilogy was, which makes it a lot harder for him. Like who's Gallius Rex? Is Gallius Rex Snoke? No, because the people making the movies didn't read the book, and the people like nobody can like it was all supposed to be connected, but they didn't. Their telephones were disconnected. They used landlines back then. I don't know if you know that, but I loved Cobb Vanth in the Aftermath novels, and so I was happy. Like when he came in, I'm like, that sounds cool. When the rumor of Timothy Olyphant was playing him came out like months before the show debuted, I was like, that is great casting. Timothy Olyphant's fantastic and everything. I think he boosts also like not like star power boost, but quality boost. I mean, Scream 2 is my favorite horror movie is Scream. I love Scream 2. He plays Mickey. FYI, fantastic movie. But he's great in everything that he does. He doesn't have the star power. Like, I don't think they need any. Well, Sigourney Weaver, for instance, is going to be in it. I don't know who she's going to play or what she's going to play. What if she played a Grisk? That'd be really cool if she was in, I think, like an Imperial, some kind of officer. But I feel like she's going to have some really cool moments with Mando. I do. I think she's going to scold him. She could be in place of Grief Karga. She could like, I don't know, whatever they're going to do respectfully for Carl Weathers, they could, whatever they do there, they could bring Sigourney Weaver in and she could be his replacement. I think that would be a really cool move. Like, because she's iconic. Carl Weathers iconic. Sigourney Weaver iconic. Why not? Makes sense to me. Probably won't happen, but that makes sense to me. Another person I really, really would like to see in this is one of my favorite villains, who I think was underutilized, and that's Moff Gideon. I've mentioned so many times that I'm a huge fan of Moff Gideon. Did a video on Digital Charcuterie about Moff Gideon. Maybe he's Mandalorian, maybe not. Maybe he'll come back as a clone, maybe not. And that's it, right? They gave him an in or an out to come back any way they want because of his obsession with cloning, and he wants to clone. So he could come back as a clone. Giancarlo Esposito has kind of mentioned this in passing. He's like, oh yeah, I can be a clone. I don't think he's going to in this movie, unfortunately. I thought that Mandalorian clone armor of his was freaking awesome. The Mandalorian Moff Gideon armor. I love that. I don't know. I didn't even know they made the Black Series helmet. I didn't know that. I wouldn't get it. I would, but I wouldn't, but I would, like that's one. I don't have like a Funko Pop or a Black Series or anything, but if I wish that's one that if I ever saw it, I'd probably get like the full suit though, mask on and everything. But Giancarlo Esposito is a fantastic actor. He's underutilized in it, but he isn't underutilized necessarily. Like he's used perfectly in this series. Like season 1 and season 2, he doesn't show up to the end of season 1 because you're like, and you know he's coming. We all know he's coming, and then he shows up and he just talks and he's calculated and manipulative and he's badass. And I would love him to come back because I think he can also go toe to toe with someone like Thrawn. He's got more anger issues, I think, than Thrawn, but he can go toe to toe with Thrawn. And the acting of Giancarlo Esposito just can't be denied. So I think at some point I would love to see him back. I hate bringing characters back to life, but this is one that I would totally give a pass at. And he never saw a body. I said in another video, he never saw a body, right? Until you say the body, he's not dead. But I think he is gone, especially with what Giancarlo Esposito has been saying. But I would totally bring Moff Gideon back. You can bring back cloning. He also is in the Shadow Council. Like there's a lot going on in that Shadow Council, which brings you to the novelizations. They're starting to connect things that didn't connect before, and he has a direct link in there. And I would like to see him come back and make that play because there's something with Thrawn that kind of turns him off a little, I believe. And I'd like to see what that is. And can he scratch that itch? And was that him or was that a clone of him? Does he just send his clones out to do his dirty work? There's an idea. Maybe he's Snoke. Moff Gideon is Snoke. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Mandalorian and Grogu, I have a lot of faith in this movie. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think what it's going to do is it can't win all the fans back. It's just not going to do that. Some fans are gone for good, and some fans are on the fence. I think what it can do is the ones on the fence, it might not get them back over the fence, but it might help them lean a little bit more, and they might have a little bit more faith in it. Or maybe it's just the best movie ever, and it pulls everybody back in. It does the impossible. It makes the impossible possible. And Star Wars is fun again to discuss with everybody in existence on YouTube. And that's what I'm doing. Let me know, guys, comments down below. Do you have faith in Mando and Grogu? Do you want to see Moff Gideon? Do you want to see Cobb Vanth return? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. May the force of others be with you.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.